It's been nearly 6 months since 5-year-old Izaya Baiz-Hickey died after climbing inside a utility box outside his Mishawaka apartment.
Now the investigation into why that box was unlocked is closed, but that has not brought closure to Izaya's family. In fact, it's left them with more questions about just how safe we all are from stray voltage. As WSBT's Troy Kehoe reports, we still don't know why the utility box was unlocked.
And there's a good chance we never will. The city's official investigation lists no cause for the missing lock. It also says the city isn't at fault. We took a closer look to try and unlock the truth. What we found was the biggest shock of all.
Every time I'm alone, it just takes over me, you know.
For Nicole Baiz, pictures tell the heartbreaking story. Memories of a priceless smile.
He was sunshine. He just brought so much joy.
Thoughts of that trademark twinkle.
He was just full of ideas.
And tears over the night it all came crashing down.
It takes your breath away and you relive it all over again.
This was the horrifying scene outside Nicole's Mishawaka apartment on Thanksgiving night 2008. Her 5-year-old son Izaya had just finished dinner when he asked her if he could go out to the backyard to play with a friend. She agreed to watch the two through the window. What happened next haunts Nicole to this day.
I heard the explosions and I knew that my son was there, and I waited, like, in waiting to hear 2 sets of footsteps running back saying, Mom, guess what, you know.
The footsteps never came. Izaya had climbed inside this utility box called a transclosure just 50 feet from Nicole's back door. In less than a second, 7,200 volts of electricity stopped his heart and started a chain reaction of questions. At the top of the list, how did Izaya get inside? Police quickly determined the transclosure box was somehow left unlocked. The required padlock on the door handle, nowhere to be found. The question was why? Nearly 6 months later, Mishawaka Utilities still has no answer.
Would it be safe to say we may never know, though, how this actually happened?
I don't know if it's safe to say. It's a possibility, yes.
What investigators have concluded?
We always have followed every single federal guideline for our safety regulations as it relates to these electrical boxes. And this is the first time that anything tragic like this has happened.
But cases just like this may be more common than you might think. Mark Voitsberger documents each and every one of them for Washington-based power quality testing.
A lot of those reports are kept private. There's usually a fatality about every 3 or 4 months. So, you know, a handful of fatalities here. But shocks, on the other hand, occur routinely.
In fact, there are more than 200 cases on record in the U.S. over the last 20 years alone, and that's documented. Even more alarming, according to Voitsberger's research, only 3 other states have recorded more shocks and electrocutions than Indiana. One that has, New York. A recent state testing program there explained why.
That first year of testing, I believe it was close to 250,000 light poles they tested statewide. About 1 in 337 poles was energized.
And that wasn't all. In New York City alone, Con Edison crews found more than 7,000 electrified objects on city streets. Everything from transformer boxes and light poles to drinking fountains, manhole covers, even a tree stump. So could those same problems be happening here too? WSBT hit the streets to find out for ourselves. The statistics are shocking. More than 200 cases of electrocution and shocks over the last 20 years, including dozens here in Indiana alone. So where are the problems coming from? And what can be done to fix them? We launched our own investigation to try and find out. We checked nearly 100 utility boxes, light poles, and electrical junction boxes in Mishawaka, South Bend, and Elkhart to see exactly what's being done to keep all of us safe from stray electrical voltage. Most were locked up tight, and none were energized. But we did find plenty of exposed wiring outside this apartment complex on South Bend's west side, and this broken lock on an electrical junction box outside an apartment complex in Elkhart. We didn't open it, but it looked like we could have. Still, American Electric Power spokesperson Marta Elliott says looks can be deceiving.
It's a 2-part locking system, and it involves an actual lock itself and then a spring-loaded bolt that's secured with a special type of socket that's not readily available. Somebody would really have to know how those boxes work to want to get in there to be able to.
To ensure that doesn't happen, Elliott says Indiana-Michigan Power inspects 20% of its transformer boxes every year, meaning each box should be inspected at least once every 5 years. Mishawaka Utilities used to follow a similar inspection schedule, but in the days following Isaiah's death, utility workers did their own check of all 83 of the city's transclosure boxes. According to records of those inspections obtained by WSBT, all were marked as properly secured, except for this one, on the east side of the former Scott Brass plant, where one padlock was found hanging on the handle, but, quote, not snapped shut. Hamill says that inspection has already prompted a change in procedure.
We have set up a protocol whereby on a periodic basis every single one of those boxes is going to be checked.
But nearly 6 months later, it's still unclear exactly what periodic means.
I don't have that time frame. I'd like to say it's biannually or quarterly, but I don't know that.
Do you think more needs to be done?
I definitely do. I definitely do. I can't say it enough. We've talked about that there should be fenced cages around these boxes, just because of the simple fact that you can walk up to them and, touch them, stick something in them. You can, have kids play around them all the time. They're in our backyards.
But Hamill says most of the city's transclosure boxes are already enclosed.
Either by private property or fences that we have. There are a few that aren't. We are considering doing that.
In the meantime,
if you were to ask me whether I'm comfortable with what we have right now, I'd say absolutely.
it's a frustrating answer for Nicole because comfort will never bring her son back home.
I didn't get a chance to hug him and tell him I loved him. It just makes me want to cry every time.
Her focus now on finding answers that may never come and keeping this kind of heartbreak from hitting anyone else.
But there definitely needs to be change. There definitely does.
Mishawaka police issued their final report nearly 2 months after Isaiah's death, ruling the incident as accidental. The official criminal investigation into the missing padlock is now closed. But Isaiah's family has notified the city that they intend to file a civil lawsuit alleging the utility was negligent in its care of the transclosure box. If the two sides can't reach a settlement by next week, the matter will head to court. Troy Kehoe, WSBT News.